And welcome back to Hot and Cold Podcast. We got a very special episode planned out for you today. Join with me is Connor. Connor, how you doing today?
Good man. How are you?
I'm doing all right. I'm doing all right. We just had our first home game of the season. You know, we got some tailgating in. We had a good time. We had a good time. We actually went to a game for the first time in forever. And Connor, since I made you, talk about your experience, against Iowa, you can talk about your win against Idaho. Go ahead. Are the Hoosiers back on the right track for the college football season?
Sure. I don't
Okay.
know. Can't
Okay.
really read too much into it.
We knew, yeah, but we need some good vibes. Like because a lot of our listeners are Indiana fans, we need some good vibes, kind of rolling into Saturday against Cincinnati.
I'm not sure there really were any.
Oh,
Like special
well,
teams was
I
good,
mean, okay.
but like the concerns that were there for the Iowa game are still there. Penix looks off. The O line looks off. The timing between Penix and the receivers is off. The run game was okay. It wasn't great. I mean, we got sacked twice on the same drive against Idaho. Like that's a problem. But we'll see. You got
Hey,
Cincinnati in a
positive,
couple days.
positive vibes only. Positive vibes only.
Again, as an Indiana football fan, positive vibes gets you burned. So cautiously optimistic is the way to go.
Okay. Okay. And look, and that was me trying to get Connor to say something good about Indiana, and he didn't. So, well, let's kind of move on a little bit. We do have Cincinnati on Saturday. I'm sure we'll find ourselves at that game. If not, you know, it'll be a good one. It should be a good one. Hopefully, it's at least a tight one. So, before we get into today's episode, let me talk a little bit about adrenaline shock. Let's see, what do I got today? I got the blue raz. I got the blue raz. I'm kind of rocking with that today. I'll make it the flavor of the week. I'll
Going
make it
back.
the flavor of the week. Yeah, just a little. It's a little bit back. But yeah, it's the best way to get your caffeine. 300 milligrams, smart energy. It'll get you going. It's healthy. Like you'll prefer this over any other energy drink once you have it once. So I'm telling you, go get your adrenaline shock. The gas station I got it from was running low, so that's a good sign. It's a good sign. So good for adrenaline shock. Good for them. Um, we have to talk about. I feel like we talk about this once an episode now. It's kind of like clockwork. Kentucky got another commit. Top five player, Chris Livingston, 6'7", 6'6", forward, whether it's a three or the four. Uh, Number four, I think, in On Three Sports. Number three and number four in 24/7. I think 12 in ESPN. But that is huge. That's another commitment, and that was one that was just out of nowhere. So obviously, Shaden Sharp has been talked about for a while. Derek Lively talked about for a while. He's not committed. I'm just saying. Casey Wallace has been talked about for a while, but it's just been the past couple of weeks where the momentum has really shifted towards Kentucky. And there was the day, when Memphis kind of dropped out of consideration, they kind of saying, well, we weren't even involved anyways. No, Kentucky just secured him. So this is very interesting. I want to talk about this fit a little bit, and Connor, I want you to hear it. So yes, on surface level, Kentucky is reverting back to freshmen after just 1 year away, right? But obviously, 3 5 stars already signed. But it is a little bit interesting when Cal kind of said what his plans were. I think last week he went on, kind of a press conference, whatever, talking to the media, and he's telling them that he wants to have 4 guys on the court with guard-like tendencies, not necessarily guards, just guys that are skilled enough to make plays, skilled enough to beat their guy up the dribble, can shoot it. He was telling us that, and he was saying, back in the day, if you're an athlete that didn't possess skills, you would still be drafted in the lottery. Now we're seeing from past, Kentucky classes that that's not true. Like they can still drop, they can still go in the second round, whatever. So he's saying you need to possess the skills as well as the athleticism to get there. So that you can kind of see how his priorities have shifted a bit. But this is interesting. He brought in Livingston, who is classified as a 3 in most databases, to kind of play that small ball 4 spot. So it'll be interesting to see how that plays out. It's obvious Cal loves the idea of running this 4-out 1-in offense. And I'm really excited to see how it plays out. Connor, how do you think about this?
Yeah, I think it's a good plan for Cal and Kentucky. I think that going small is the way to go in college basketball, especially having people that can handle the ball other than your point guard on the floor. So that's a good sign. Just looking up stuff, Jerry Meyer from 247, just reading up on his scouting report. Funny IU Connectioners comparisons, OG and Anobi.
Mm-hmm.
Which if he can be OG, that would be pretty good for them. I don't know if he's the defensive player that OG was, but
yeah,
it seems like he's the similar offensive build, maybe with some more handle. Again, it all comes down to shooting. I mean,
yeah,
that's going to be the big one. It says that's an area of improvement for him. So if he can shoot, I think it works. If he can't, I think it's fine. It just would hinder their potential.
For sure. And I think at the end of the day, they're going to surround him with Shaden Sharp, who's a great shooter. Sky Clark, who's a well enough shooter, and probably bring back some guys that are shooter, like CJ Frederick off the bench or something. So I think at the end of the day, it is important that he develops that shot. When you watch his tape, I'm sure you haven't yet. His jump shot is actually very good. Like, it's not one of those ugly set shots. Like, it looks smooth. It looks like he, is close to being able to stretch the floor. So it will be interesting. And then it's just from now on, 2 more pieces for this Kentucky class. It's Cason Wallace, who I think is going to come in the near future, and one of Bona and Derek Lively. So we'll see what happens with that. We'll see, because Bona would probably be more on board than Lively quick in the more near future. So we'll see what Cal does. If he takes Bona and lets Lively walk, or if he lets Bona walk and waits for Lively, who knows? Who knows what he does? I mean, best case scenario is Lively commits sooner, but that's not going to happen. But we talked about UK recruiting, on every episode. I didn't want to spend too much time on it. I just had to kind of bring that up because it'd be an incredible disservice if we didn't. The next piece of news, Connor, you didn't know we were talking about this. The Big 12 added 4 teams. Yes. This was big for football, obviously, whatever. They added UCF. Tell me when I'm wrong. They added UCF, BYU, Houston, and Cincinnati. Is that right?
Yes, correct.
Okay. So that is big for football on the surface, obviously. But for basketball, I believe that this makes the Big 12 a much better basketball conference. Now, hear me out. BYU is a perennial NCAA tournament team. Obviously, that was in the WCC. Maybe it has something to do with that. But they're always a perennial basketball team. They're a great team always. Cincinnati, they've been bad in the past couple of years. They got a new coach. They're kind of turning it around a little bit. They brought in some transfers, whatever. They'll be back. They'll be back at some point or another. They'll be really good at basketball again. So there's another. Houston is, right now is an elite program. Kelvin Sampson at the helm. He just preaching toughness, whatever. That will bring something that the Big 12 doesn't really possess. I mean, Baylor's the closest thing to it, but I mean, Houston is a tough ass team, and they're going to beat some of these programs up. They will. Now, if they have to play last year's Baylor team, twice a year, that won't go over well. But moving on, UCF, whatever. UCF is definitely the weakest in the basketball, but probably the best in the football. Maybe. No, maybe. BYU's pretty good.
Cincinnati?
Cincinnati has to prove it more than 1 year. UCF has been very good for the past couple of years.
I think Cincinnati's been top 25 the last 3 years, haven't they?
Has it been 3 years? I know they were good. I know they were good.
They got Luke Fickell.
Yeah,
he's been good.
kind of turned him around. Fickell's kind of turned. Again, not a football podcast. Again, I don't know, but I know Cincy's good this year. I know. Well, hopefully they don't beat the brakes off of IU, or else it'd be a very sad time on campus. So hopefully that doesn't happen. But Connor, what do you think about this kind of shift to the Big 12 and kind of like, because everybody was thinking, well, maybe Kansas goes to the AAC, maybe West Virginia joins them, or maybe West Virginia goes back to the Big East. Like, what do you think about this?
I think it's stupid.
You think it's stupid?
I really do.
Really? Let's hear it.
I was all for the disbanding of the Big 12 completely. I wanted the seismic shift, and I wanted the three like power conferences, the ACC, the Big 10, and basically like the Big 12. I wanted like a bunch, those three conferences, and then the SEC. Like that's what I wanted. Didn't get that, obviously. I think UCF getting added shows where the Big 10, or not the Big 10, the Big 12 is at.
Yeah,
that's who you're adding. Really? Like that's the best you can do. Like that's kind of sad. Houston, they're fine for basketball and maybe football, but
every once in a while football, but not consistent.
Like, yeah. Come on. And Cincinnati sucks at basketball. They're good at football, but again, it shows how desperate the Big 12 was. And if I'm like Kansas, like basketball wise, or like Baylor basketball, like this is like whatever. We're gonna beat these teams every time we play them. It has no effect on us. Yeah. So,
well, I think the most probable thing that's gonna happen is they just added 4 mediocre teams in each sport, each of the power sports. I mean, there's a chance that they bring UCF in. UCF, the national championship winners, whatever. When they went undefeated, maybe they bring them in and they show that they're better than everybody thought. Probably not going to happen. Maybe, Houston comes in and they dominate. Probably not going to happen. But maybe that happened. Maybe BYU shows that they're a better team than people thought, and they're not just a punching bag for Gonzaga. But who knows? Who knows? And by the way, let's talk about this for a second. BYU leaves the West Coast Conference. What does that mean for Gonzaga? What does that mean for their future in that conference? Because at the end of the day, the only way that they showed, for the last couple months of the season that they are still a powerhouse is when they, kicked the doors off of BYU and St. Mary's. So now it's just St. Mary's. Like, the conference just got worse. Like, do you think Gonzaga makes a move or no?
No, I think they just keep loading up on their non-conference like they have in the past.
Yeah.
In the end, I don't know if that BYU game really carried a lot of weight. I mean, obviously it was exciting for us because it was like, hey, we can actually watch the Gonzaga game, and they're not up by like 60 in the first half. So, but other than that, I don't know if people really took it that seriously. St. Mary's obviously the same way. Like, that's circled on the calendar because that's like the only Gonzaga game you can really tune in for and enjoy.
Yeah.
But I don't know why they would leave. Their non-conference schedule is ridiculous every year. So that's how they're going to get their recognition.
Yeah. It's when that St. Mary's game is literally just Australia national team versus Gonzaga every year.
Yeah.
It's crazy. Yeah. Like when I watched the Olympics this year and I saw Australia's team, like the entire starting 5 was St. Mary's grad, which is just absurd to me. But I kind of moving on. We have a short episode for you today. I'm sorry. That's just what we're doing today. Not a lot of news, just the Livingston thing, and then some weird things that happened behind the scenes. So Andy Katz who works for the NCAA, he released a top 25 returning players. And I don't want to I've done this before. I've shot myself in the foot before. My old self would have listed 1 through 25, and I would have realized how unnecessary that was to do. So I'm not going to do that today. But I think both of us have some gripes, some concerns, maybe some agreements. So when you start at the top, I think we both agree. Oh, I agree. Juzang's number one, correct? Juzang is the best returning player to college basketball. He's my national player of the year. He's going to win, all the awards he can. So, yeah, I got Juzang one. Connor, do you agree with Johnny Juzang being the number one returning player in college basketball? Come on. Then do it. Disagree. Do it.
No, I do. It's close. Drew Timmy at 2 is close.
Yeah. I mean that's the 1-2. Juzang and Timmy, that's the 1-2. It's hard to
I think
deny.
Juzang takes a step back though.
You do.
I don't think that he exceeds the expectations, especially because of how he finished last year. That's going to be hard to do.
Well,
that's going to be really hard to do. I don't think he wins National Player of the Year. I really don't.
Okay, we'll get into that. We'll get into who you think does that. But I do want to say Juzang leaves Kentucky 2 years ago or a year ago, whenever he left. Geez, that seems like so long ago. And he can't get off the bench at Kentucky. He goes to UCLA. And now he's number one on a list for, comeback, the best player coming back into college basketball. That is absurd. That is an absolute absurdity. He's gotten so much better in 1 year. Obviously, it has a lot to do with his tournament run. But I mean, I have him as my national player of the year. I can see where he would have a downfall in that because he's on a team with a lot of guys. There's another guy on this list that's on his team. He brought in a 5-star freshman to be on this team as well. And I mean, he showed how good he was in, a span of 4, 5, 6 games. So I get it.
That for the season though.
I get it.
I get it. A fluke.
That's what I'm saying. So I see where there could be. I can poke a hole in my argument, which is never a good argument.
It's a power ranking, and I have no problem putting him at number one because he had the best tournament run, and that's our most recent memory. So
recency bias. Johnny Juzang is the best player ever. Yeah, we kind of moving on. Kofi at 3. I think we're good with that. No. Oh, okay. Dickinson and Trace.
Dickinson at 4 is kind of a stretch, I think.
We're back. Sorry, my AirPods went out on me. Connor, what were you saying before I cut out so rudely?
I think Dickinson probably at 4 is high. I don't think he's better than Trace. But, whatever. It's fine.
Wait. Well, we got to have this conversation. You're saying Dickinson is better than Trace, or Trace is better than Hunter Dickinson?
Yeah. 100%.
You got to give some evidence behind that to
kind what is Dickinson
support that take?
What does he do that's better than Trace?
I mean, he's a more versatile player.
How? He doesn't even shoot. What does he shoot, like 1-3 every 6 games or something?
I mean,
they're the exact same player.
I'm not saying
Trace averages more per game than Hunter Dickinson does. So, like, what are we doing?
Okay, you're lucky. Our audience is. I'm not saying I necessarily disagree, although I kind of do. But I don't want to argue with it about this because I don't even think Hunter Dickinson's that good. So
he's a very limited player.
Yes, but so is Trace.
And so is Trace, but Trace scores more than him. So how
because he was no on
argument.
Okay. I do think that Trace is better than him at some things. I think Dickinson is more versatile. I think he's a better playmaker. I think he's I do think that. But I mean, Trace is a better defender. He's got that on him. Let's not get too
Better
deep
defender,
into it.
better scorer. Dickinson might be a
I
better
wouldn't.
playmaker.
I wouldn't say he's a better when you're talking about scoring. All right, here we go. We're getting into this argument. Trey scores more, but he only has very, 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 very limited ways of doing it. Lefty hook or dunk.
And Dickinson doesn't. He does the same thing every time. He does the lefty hook move in the paint every single play. Every time he gets it down there.
Okay.
No difference in their games offensively scoring wise, but one averages 20 and one averaged like 12.
All right. This is not Hunter Dickinson is not the hill I want to die on. So I'll let it slide. I'll let it slide here. But I'm just saying, if Michigan fans don't listen to this podcast, so who cares? I've already ruined that avenue. Marcus Carr, you hate that at 6. Yes. You definitely hate that pick. So Marcus Carr, obviously a very inefficient scorer, but he put up a lot of points. Good shooter. Now on Texas. Maybe can play off the ball with Andrew Jones. Maybe he flourishes in that role. I think he is good enough to be 6. I think the guy behind him is better.
I agree. I think Liddell is going to be a take. I think Liddell is better than Trace and Hunter Dickinson.
Yeah, for sure. EJ Liddell. No, I'm 100%.
He should be number 4.
Yeah. I think EJ Liddell has a very, and I said this last year, I think he has a very good chance of being Big Ten Player of the Year this year.
Oh yeah,
that's my preseason pick. If I see the odds, I'm taking Liddell. Although I think the voters are going to love Kofi this year.
Yeah, it's going to be Kofi. I think.
Yeah, they're going to love Kofi.
They're going to love it. Yeah, for sure.
Ivy. I think Jaden Ivey's very good. I think he showed out in that in the Team USA. I think he showed himself to be the best player on the court multiple times. He didn't win MVP. Chet was on that team, whatever. I think he's going to really flourish this year. And I think
Isn't this college basketball? So we're going off college basketball. You're telling me that Buddy Boeheim is below Jaden Ivey after his run? Like the sole reason that we're putting Juzang at 1, but Buddy Boeheim doesn't get the same respect? That's ludicrous to me. Like Jaden Ivey did nothing in their tournament game against North Texas. They lost. For sure.
No, the way that Katz is looking at this is not consistent. It's not because he put Juzang at 1 off a tournament run, and then he's putting Ivy at 8, which is fine. I think Ivy may be the 8th best player coming back, but I mean, Buddy Boeheim had the tournament run of all tournament runs.
I mean, it's the typical Syracuse tournament run,
right? But I almost think it was expected. I almost think everybody's like, yeah, Buddy's going to go off.
I mean, there are so many players in here that are better than Jaden Ivey. Like, I can't even, I don't understand.
Jaden Ivey will be the best guard in the Big Ten this year. Far and away.
Wow. Oh,
far and away.
I'd rather have Curbelo than Jaden Ivey.
Really? That's a take.
Yes.
I can't even name anybody on Illinois' roster.
Dude, but I love it. I love these high expectations for Purdue because they're not.
I know you do.
They're not going to reach them. They won't reach them. Matt Painter has never. Look, he always gets the respect. He never has a letdown season. Do you want to know why he never has a letdown season? Because the expectations are like the bare minimum. Now it's national championship or bust. And when he doesn't win, I hope that he gets the treatment that anyone else would. It would not be good.
Somebody told me something once. I think it was a Purdue fan. And I'm not saying Purdue will struggle. I don't know. I think this is a very good team. I think it's a well-constructed roster. But, I mean, who knows? At the end of the day, you seem to think that they will suck. I don't have that strong of expert opinion on each, but
they will be average.
Okay. Okay. That's fine. I heard someone say Matt Painter is so much better at his job when his expectations are as low as can be. But when they are high, he does not exceed those. No, which is a very stupid, like it's like a very, kind of obvious thing to say, but it kind of made me think, yeah, this doesn't look good for Matt Painter this year. I mean, because they should be very good on paper. They're one of the top 5 teams in the country. They should be.
Allegedly, yes.
Allegedly.
A team that lost to North Texas is now a top 5 team in the country. I don't know if that is an indictment on the rest of college basketball or how good they are, but a team that lost to North Texas is now a top 5 team preseason. So we might be in for a down year. Maybe. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah. So this is where I get my biggest gripe in the 11 to 13 range. So Jaime Jaquez at 10. Fine. Like he's good. There's a lot of watery buzz for him coming up this year. So watch out for that. But to rank him, I'm not even citing Remy here. I think Remy, he's shown he's a great player. I like that spot for him kind of though, because he's done that with Arizona State. You got to prove it at a bigger stage, right? And then I get into the Oral Roberts, Max Abmas. That's it. But that is a completely different thing. Max Abmas led the country in scoring. He had that incredible tournament run leading his team to the Elite 8. Obviously, they're not going to have O'Banner this year, but he can maybe do something special with that team. Hard for me to not have Abmas cracking that top 10. It just is. At the end of the day, it's just very hard. I think he is my number 2 in National Player of the Year. That's my take. It's hot.
Jaden Ivey or Max Abmas?
Who do I think is better?
Yeah,
Max Abmas for sure.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. I think at the end of the day, Ivey's a better pro player. He plays on a better team. I think he'll get more national recognition.
See, that's what's wrong with this list. This is a college basketball list, and he's just sprinkling in pro potential, and it's wrong. It's wrong.
That's fair, but I do think Ivey's really good and definitely should be on this list. I would just rank
maybe like 25, maybe like 25.
My biggest problem with this list, though, Colin Gillespie at 13. Look, I know he's coming off injury, but I mean, come on. Like before he was injured, he was one of the seriously, he was one, if not the best guard in the NCAA.
Taking him or Jaden Ivey?
He's obviously Gillespie. Well, no, he is a Villanova guard.
Just trying to prove point.
I know you are. But I would have Gillespie in, my top 6. Like that is where I would put a guy like him. He is going to lead this Villanova team on his back. That is just the type of guy he is. This is going to be your typical Villanova team, and he's going to be your Jalen Brunson. He's going to be, whoever you want. And they are going to be, I'm sorry, they're going to be like a 2 seed next year. And he's going to be the reason for it. That's 100%. Just how Villanova works. Like they're not going to, maybe they won't start off high, but at the end of the year, they're going to win the Big East. They're going to be one of the title contenders. They're going to be a 2 seed, and he's going to be the reason. So him at 13 is just straight up disrespectful. And I make fun of Villanova a lot, and I'm saying that. Andrew Jones, big time feel good story at 14. I like it. I don't know. Maybe 14 is a little bit too high. I don't know, but he's a great feel good story. One of my favorite players in the country. Everybody should love him. Garrison Brooks at 15. I think he's going to struggle in the SEC. I think he.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I do, because I think he'll have good matchups every once in a while. But the more I think about it, he really was prolific in the ACC because of the type of bigs he was playing. Maybe not the most athletic bigs, but he can kind of dominate them in the post. I think definitely defensively, I think he's going to kind of, get, out. I don't even know how to say this, but the athleticism is going to embarrass him on that side of the court. I don't think he'll be able to, stay up with a guy like, Efton Reed at LSU. Guys like that. They're just going to, jump over him. And so I think he's going to struggle. I think that Mississippi State team's going to struggle, but they could be good, maybe not. I just don't see it. Bringing in a guy like him and Rocket. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. It's weirdly put together, but we'll see. Severe Wheeler at 16. Connor, you have a problem with it. Let's hear it.
I said this and I wholeheartedly believe it. And I know deep down that you do as well, but you don't have a problem with it because he's at Kentucky. But if that said Severe Wheeler, Georgia, that have huge star on the list. What the F is this? Tom Crean's point guard is in the top 20 on this list. That is ridiculous. Now, Sure, you could say that whatever, he's going to play better now that he's at Kentucky, but that's not what the list is. That's not what it is. It is the returning college basketball player list based on last year. Like, I don't understand this list.
Dude, I don't get this list at all. I agree with you, but I mean, there's an argument to be had. Grady's on this list. Spoiler alert, Grady's on this list. Maybe Kentucky wouldn't, recruit these guys in if they weren't, good enough to be on this list. But obviously, that's probably them having that Kentucky on their chest. It obviously plays into the end of the list. But to rank, and I know this is something that you won't even have a strong opinion on both sides, whatever. To rank Severe Wheeler above Travion Williams,
it's ludicrous.
I don't even understand that at all.
It's unbelievable.
I can't think of one reason to do that. I just can't. Severe Wheeler is a great player, whatever, but he's going to end up being the second best point guard on Kentucky this year. Travion Williams, has been the guy at Purdue for 40 and 20
games. He's had 40 and 20 games in college.
He's seriously had 40 and 20 games, and you're ranking Severe Wheeler ahead of him. Severe Wheeler, great player, love him to death, but that's weird. That's a weird thing. And then Kevin O'Banner, one of my favorite players in the country, at 18 behind both of them. That's biased. That is super biased, though. I think I'm more biased to Kevin O'Banner than Severe Wheeler at this point. I've been at the stake for O'Banner for months now.
Thank God he didn't go to Arkansas. We would hate him.
Oh, we would have destroyed. I would have done the biggest heel turn of all time on. Obviously. Then you got Grady at 19. I think Grady's really good.
Same premise for him, though.
Probably same premise, but I think Kellen Grady is so much better than Severe Wheeler. But we won't
probably. Yeah, I would rather have Kellen Grady. But again, if that said Davidson, he's not even on the list.
Maybe
he's 26. Not even on the list. He's not even on the list. There's no way he's not on the list.
No, there's not. There's not a way. But I mean, there's one mid-major player on this list, maybe two. Nah, there's one. And yeah, I just can't get myself to believe that he would make it. Chris likes that. I don't agree with at all. At all.
I didn't watch much Miami basketball. I know he's okay, but
he is a high volume and efficient shooter who's 5'8".
No thanks.
And
he's lucky he's in the SEC. Because if he was in the Big Ten, the physicality would not be a good thing for him.
We're just trashing players right now. We
really are. I love this.
But no, I think Chris has shown as the number one option. He's probably not the best. Maybe off the ball at Arkansas when you have a lot of guys like JD Note coming off the ball, whatever. Jalen Williams on the court, he'll probably end up having the best season of his career at Arkansas just because there's so many guys around him, and he has so many more opportunities to be open and actually hit the shot instead of creating for himself and putting up something stupid. Scottie Pippen Jr. is very good.
Let
I
me
like
let
him
me
at
just say
21.
this. He is the first team all SEC guard, averaged 20.8 points. And somehow Severe Wheeler, who is also in the SEC, is ahead of him. Like, I
Scottie
don't
Pippen Jr.
understand.
should Scottie Pippen Jr. should be ahead of both Wykes and Wheeler, probably.
Yes.
Probably.
I'm high on
I
Vandy. You know I'm high. I'm buying in.
I
I'm
don't know.
buying in.
You need
You told me not to.
You need to sell every single one of those stocks. Every
I'm not
single one of
selling
those
yet
shares.
because they're going to get into the top 25 at some point this year.
No,
And then I'm going to sell.
they are not going
They're
into
gonna
the top
they're gonna go
25
they're gonna go
once.
up. They're gonna go up a little bit, and then they're gonna fall off a cliff. But they're here. I'm waiting for them to get up a little bit higher. I'm like buying low right now, so when it barely goes up, I make a lot of money, and then I'm getting out.
Connor, they're the
Kind of like
most
Dogecoin. I did this on Dogecoin. This is
they're
what
the
I
most
did.
they're the most poorly ran program in the nation.
Really,
Poorly coached program in the nation.
more poorly than Memphis.
Yes.
Wow, you really hate them.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't they
They're
beat
bad.
Kentucky? No, they didn't beat Kentucky.
They're the one team that lost to Kentucky.
No, they
twice.
did. I thought they did.
No. Kentucky beat Vandy twice last year.
They were close though.
One of them, yeah.
Like
are you starting to get a little bit scared?
They're going to be fine. Top 6 in the SEC.
Oh, I can't wait. This is like one of the hottest takes either of us have had. Is your infatuation with Vandy? This is one of the hottest.
Memphis and Vandy, love them. Really high on those guys.
At least Memphis has two of the top 4 guys in the freshman class.
Vandy you're going good people.
You're going off Vandy for their their transfer from Minnesota. What's his name? If you tell me his name, yeah, you know who I'm talking about. The white guy, the big man, whatever. Yes. They're gonna stink.
No, they're gonna be good.
They're going to stink.
They will make the tournament.
They lost Dylan DeSue, man.
They are going to make the tournament.
Oh, okay. Let's move on. Julian Champagny. Am I saying that right? I think I'm saying that right. St. John's. Obviously, we don't know much about him at all. I mean, he got 20 last year. We will because he's coming to Bloomington.
Yes.
Okay. Yes. We'll see him in one of the hardest non-conference schedules in the country in Indiana's.
Brutal schedule.
Armando Bacot, whatever. I mean, yeah, he has the potential. He has potential. Matt Bradley, transfer from Cal to San Diego State. Again, a guy we don't know much about. Like, this is where
I do though. I do know a little bit about him.
Yes, because he was a potential Indiana transfer. Yes.
He's good.
Yeah.
He's really good. And I think he actually gets a bump because he's at San Diego State and he was at Cal. And now San Diego State's obviously better. But he's good. Like, that's an underrated pickup for them.
For sure. And I think that's one of those moves that's going to go under the radar in the transfer portal because there were so many transfers. But I mean, there's some of those guys are very, very good, and they're not even on this list. Like, and you're just like, whoa. Like, I'm thinking of guys like, oh, dude, I gotta get the names right in my head. Transfer Timmy Allen. Timmy Allen's going to be very good. Timmy Allen's going to be very, very good, and he's not even on this list. Like, there's guys like that transferring from, low tier Pac-12 schools, maybe a Mountain West school into, a bigger program that are going to tear it up. And they're going to be, the reason their program succeeds. I think that's huge for San Diego State to kind of get back to where they were a couple of years ago. Tyson Etienne is what I wanted to get to the most. I saw his name at the end of this list. This is a guy, for some reason, I fell in love with when I was watching the few times I watched Wichita State last year. I think I watched him against Houston. I watched him against Drake. I think he underperformed against Drake. Either that or he didn't play. One of the two. I remember he disappeared. But part of the reason he came back, he is a great defensive player. He averaged 16 at Wichita State. And I think he's only going to get better this year. I think he's going to lead Wichita State to probably that 6-7 seed. They're going to be my surprise team. I'm almost willing to put Wichita State as my surprise team. I think you're going to surprise some people, and that's because of National Player of the Year candidate Tyson Etienne. And that is my hot take. I think Tyson Etienne is an absolute stud, and watch out for him.
That's crazy.
Second team All-American.
Wow. So you're saying he's top 10?
Top 10. He'll be top 10 by the end of the year.
It's a big jump on Andy Katz's list.
Andy Katz. Look,
I don't know how he's going to beat out Jaden Ivey.
Andy Katz, love you to death. We post some holes in this list. And he didn't actually show. Look, I love Andy Katz because, like, he knows what he's talking about. He does. Like, he's a very smart college basketball mind. He's much smarter than both of us. But he didn't flex his muscles until the end of this list. Like, I get it. You have to put in your, Jaden Ivies. You got to put in all those guys who play for.
He loves Purdue, by the way, and that's why.
I know he does.
I pick on him a little bit. I don't like his list because he loves Purdue.
But I mean, he put in all these big conference schools, and then he didn't flex his muscles till the end, where he's putting in Julian Champagny. Again, don't know if I'm saying that right. Matt Bradley, Tyson Etienne. Those are guys people don't know about. That's why you make this list. That's why you make this list to put on everybody. Who don't I know? Who should I know? And again, Kellen Grady's another guy like that. He's going to Kentucky, but nobody's really ever seen him. So. Fair enough list, whatever. I'm excited for this year. This got me really excited for basketball season, not going to lie. So it did its job. It did its job. I think we were looking ahead too much into next season with the recruiting, Jalen Hood-Schifino, Shaden Sharp, Chris Livingston. We did a lot of those episodes. But now, from now on, if you're ready, Connor, we're going to do full-on preview episodes of this year. You in?
Good. I'm ready.
We're doing lists and stuff. We have to do so much homework before each episode, but whatever. I'm cool with it. I'm so cool with it. I'm so excited to get back on track. Let's get this season going. It can't start soon enough. How far away are we? We're pretty far, aren't we?
It's still about 2 months.
Damn.
Future Hysteria is October 2nd, I think.
That hurts. I just want it to be here, man. And I'm ready for the trip to Lexington. I'm ready to go some games up here. I want to do a road trip. I don't know if we'll be able to afford a road trip, but we
are college students.
We still are college students. I want to get on the road. I want to go to random games. I don't want to just go to Indiana and Kentucky games. We'll find a way. We'll get a connect. We'll get a connect. We have an athlete. Maybe our athlete may be able to get us some tickets. Probably not, but would love to see Clemson as well.
Would love to see Clemson, Louisville. Would love to go boo Louisville and cheer for Clemson in the process.
Dude, I mean, I would say to the secret, Alex is going to be a pretty big deal on Clemson this year.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
He's going to light it up.
Yeah, I know. He's going to be like their best player. Yeah. You're like,
20 points per game, maybe.
I mean, look.
Sharpshooter.
Not enough people know about him, man. Like we know.
Oh,
Nobody else.
We know this is coming too. So
right. So I'm excited for that. If you guys want to make any bets, Alex Hemingway, ACC Player of the Year, is looking pretty nice.
Yes.
I'm just saying, bet responsibly. Maybe not that bet, but thank you guys for listening. Seriously, I'm so excited for college basketball to come back. This got me in the mood to watch some college basketball, hate on some lists. Got me very excited. Connor, thank you for joining me. Have a good rest of your classes. I'm out. Love you guys.